guys, and welcome to my channel, Jess Chillin' About. Today I'm going to be doing a kind of how-to / advice video. As we all know, New Year's has just been. Everybody's probably been setting their New Year's resolutions, setting up goals for the years, and a lot of people have probably already given up on those resolutions. And you'll find a lot of people, when they set goals, after a couple weeks they've already given up. They've already said, you know what, I can't do this, this isn't achievable, why am I doing this, all different reasons, and they give up. So if you're one of those people that's ever done that, or you're needing to set goals for something, I'm going to try to give you guys some really simple, basic, but very useful tips on setting goals. So the first and probably the most important thing when setting a goal is to ask the simple question, why? Why am I doing this? Just why? Because a lot of people, they'll say, oh, I want to lose weight or get a new job or anything like that, and you really want to ask yourself, why do I want to do this? So if we go back to the losing weight one, you know, why do I want to lose weight? Is it because I want to look better? Is it because I want to be healthier? Because those whys depend on how you should be setting your goals. So for example, if it was to look good, then that would depend on what kind of workouts you're going to be doing to achieve that. Or if you're losing weight to be healthy, then it's not so much about toning and looking good, but about, you know, eating healthier, doing different types of exercise. Even though they'll interrelate a lot, you really need to ask why, because they do actually mean the way you achieve your goal is going to be different. The process you're going to have to go through will be slightly different, and if you're doing the wrong process to get your goal, then that's where a lot of people get stuck, because they think this is what I want to do. They don't figure out why they want to do it, and because they don't figure out the why, they don't really figure out the right way to do it. So if you figure out why you want to do it, you can figure out how. So you always want to start off with, this is what I want to do, why do I want to do it? Once you've figured out why you want to do it, and then you can work back and say, okay, this is what I want to do, this is why I want to do it, how can I achieve this? Okay, so with why being one of the most important things to focus on at the beginning, at the same time as figuring out what you want to do, why you want to do it, and how you want to do it, you need to make sure that your goal is SMART. And when I say SMART, we break it doin to S-M-A-R-T. So it needs to be specific. So you can't just say, I want to lose weight. You want to say, I want to lose X amount of weight by X date. That gives you numbers to work with. So the next one is M, is measurable. Because you've got specific numbers, you can measure, you know, what percent you've lost of it, or, you know, how you're tracking. If you don't have numbers, it's very subjective, and you do want your goals to be quite objective. So you can say, yes, I'm achieving it, or no, I'm not, or yes, I'm on track, or anything like that. The next one, A, obviously specific, measurable, needs to be achievable. You can't say, you know, I weigh X amount and I want to lose 3/4 of that, because that's just not achievable. You're going to be completely underweight. You know, some weights, you've got bones in your body, you just physically cannot lose so much weight. So you need to make sure that your goal is achievable. Or for example, if you're studying and your goal is to get all straight A's, you know, is it achievable? Can you really get all straight A's? Like, do you have a full-time job? Do you have kids? Do you have anything that could distract you that, you know, it's not actually possible to get straight A's in everything? So you need to make sure that it's achievable. And yes, everyone wants to get straight A's, but you have to be realistic on it. So the next one, being the R, is realistic. Is it a realistic goal? So is it achievable? Yes, it's achievable, but is it realistic? Or is it relevant? You know, is it relevant to you? So for example, if you're doing a degree and your goal is, I want to do this degree, you know, is it relevant? Why are you going to be doing that degree? Is it going to help you get a job? Is it just something you're interested in? Or is it someone else is doing it and you want to do it and be better than them? Or anything, you know, it needs to be relevant and realistic for yourself. And then the last one under the SMART category is T, so timely. How long is it going to take you? You know, if I said I want to finish my degree, a 3-year degree, in 1 year, that's not going to happen. You have to be realistic with your times. You've got to give it, this is the amount of time that I need. Is this fitting in with my plans? Or if you want to get your driver's license, you know, in New Zealand there's certain periods that you have to wait before you can get your next license. So if you want to get your full license and you have no license and you say I want to get my full in 1 year, again, that timing and that realism, it just doesn't work. They don't meet up. So you need to make sure that all of these things are taken into account so that you're not going to get caught out and be like, oh my goodness, I was supposed to have this done. There is no way that was ever going to happen. So you need to think about these things beforehand. That way, once you've got it all written down, you know, it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant or realistic and timely, and you know why you want to do it, that's when you can figure out how you want to do it. And along with the SMART, you need to include that in the how. Your how needs to be really important as well, because you need to make sure that your how is possible. And a lot of people, they'll say, oh, I just want to do this. I don't need to get into all the details, but then they give up and they've got nothing to work towards. Or if you're halfway through, you know, you're like, how am I tracking? Where did I start? Why am I doing this? That's why these things are really important, and they're really simple. Why, how, and making sure they're SMART. It's not that you haven't thought about it, it's just that you may not have known about these things and you may not have thought to think about them. So hopefully, if you are someone that gets stuck with goals, these things can really help you. If you break it down, it's really simple. It may take a little bit of time, but once you've got it, then at least you've got that goal, you've got a structure on how you're going to do it. And another thing with goals is when you do this, it actually motivates you a lot more than if you just said, I want to buy a car. If you say, I want to buy a car, this is why, this is how I'm going to do it, you know that it's possible. Whereas if you just say, I want to buy a car, and you're like, oh, can I actually? This way you know, actually it's possible, I can do it, I have the means, I have the income to be able to do this, I have the structure in place. This X amount is going to go into my savings every week and I'm not going to touch it. And by this date, so you're timely, the money will be there. So when you set these goals, it's really motivating, because if you get halfway through and you're like, I've got the money, but it's so much more long to go, it's kind of there, like you're doing it, you're not failing it. Keep going. So stuff like that can really help motivate you and build self-confidence, and knowing, if you achieve one of your goals in the future, like, well, I've got this bigger goal now, but can I do it? And you look back and you go, actually I did that goal, and I planned it, so maybe I can do this one too. So those are basically just the real simple tips that I wanted to give you. One of the other things I really wanted to point out is that don't be afraid, or don't view it as failure if your goal changes. Goals change, people change, the world is continuously changing. As you've heard, the only thing constant is change. So things change, things happen, and if you get set back for a little while, or if you're not achieving it as much as you want, don't feel like that's failure. Think if there's a roadblock, how am I going to overcome this? Am I going to overcome it by keep trying and keep saving or keep working? Or are you just going to stop and say, change, I give up? Because if you give up when change happens, that is one big roadblock that you're going to challenge the rest of your life. So learning to overcome roadblocks and recognizing that things are going to change. You want this goal, but there will be things thrown at you, and there will be times where you have to change that goal. But for example, like myself, last year I wanted to have X amount of money in my bank account by the end of the year. I didn't, but when I look back, I went on a trip to Fiji, I went overseas, that is expensive, I bought a new laptop, I went on a trip to Wellington. The money that I wanted in that bank account was money just there, so I could do something with it. So if I used it last year, and I can look back and say, actually I didn't have that full amount that I wanted, but the money that went out of that savings was on travelling, it was on being able to get a new computer so I can edit my videos. It's definitely worth it. Like those two things, or travelling and getting my new computer, I wouldn't trade that for the money sitting in my bank account, but I know that that money wasn't for anything specific. So I was able to do that. So my goal changed because I wanted X amount, but I didn't, but I got other things that make up for those funds. That's kind of an example. It can work with a lot of things as well, but again, this video is probably already quite long. I hope I didn't confuse you or anything like that. I really hope these tips help you. So I'll just quickly run down. You need to ask what your goal is. This is what I want to do. Why do you want to do it? How are you going to do it? Is this goal SMART? And am I okay if things change? That's basically it. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Let me know down below what your tips are for setting goals, that way other people can read them as well. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if this video has helped you, and you can always subscribe below to see more videos. Yeah, so I hope you guys are having a lovely new year, and sorry about the light, it's really light in here being the middle of summer and all, but yes, I'm sure you overcame that if you're at this stage. I'm gonna go. Goodbye!